Thank you and welcome to this online webinar hosted by RVE on energy management systems for electric vehicle and other loads. Let me just go to the next slide. So you may already know RVE, but when it comes to energy management at home in single family, townhomes, multifamily properties, we are the North American leader for EV charging energy management system. So the acronym EV-EMS, you probably already know about the EMS acronym, but EV-EMS is just a longer acronym when it comes to specifically energy management systems for electric vehicle charging, in our case at home. But like you saw on the first slide in the title, our energy management systems, although they've been designed for electric vehicle charging, they can also be used for other type of loads. And this is all what we're going to cover today. First of all, so this is me. My name is Leo. I'm a senior technical advisor at RVE. I've been with the team for over 7 years, and I'll be your host or your main host today. But I am not alone, and I'm gonna let my co-host Brita Potter present ourselves and the rest of the team.
Hi, my name is Bria Potter, and I'm the sales director for the U.S. sales team at RVE. A pleasure to be with you today. I've been in the industry for about 30 years, and my team also has extensive experience. And let me introduce you to some of the players. First off, Jodine covers the West Coast, and unfortunately, she's not with us live today. She's covering the West Coast live in California. And Chris, who covers the East Coast, he's actually the gentleman who will be handling the chat today. Usually we have Simon or Jerome, one of our inside electrician, in-house electricians, handle the chat, and they've been deployed out in the field assisting contractors. So they're living up to their support that we offered to the contractors in the field. And Chris, who covers the East Coast, will be handling your chat. Take note that some of the questions might be only answered at the very end of the webinar. Simon is our technical advisor at the same time, being our in-house electrician. So if you need, in the future, any technical support, he's the one who answers the tech line. We also have Armel, who's part of our inside sales team. You may have spoken to him over the phone in the last months or weeks, as he does a lot of contractor outbound outreach, just to make sure that everything's going all right, that you've got the right product in your hands, that if you need assistance on a project out there, that he can guide you to the right department or person.
Thanks, Brita. We're going to start by a little survey just so we know exactly, or not exactly, so we know a bit more about you. Two very simple questions. There will be a pop-up on your screen or your cell phone, whatever device you're using, and you're going to see the question, have you ever installed a DCC before? You have three potential choices. Yes, one time or once. Yes, I've installed many. Or if you have never installed a DCC, just select the third choice, not yet. We're going to give a few seconds in case you're not seeing the pop-up on your screen for the short survey. In a few seconds, we're going to go to a second question. So it gives us a better understanding of who the audience is so we can adapt the content. So second question is, what type of installations do you specialize in? So again, we have three answers. If you mostly do installations in single family home, it's going to be option one. Option two is mostly installations in multifamily home. And if you do both single and multifamily homes or townhomes complex or different types of installation at home, just select the third one, which says both. And again, in a few seconds, just to let everybody answer the survey, we're going to have the answers on the screen. So it should arrive soon. Let's see. So, okay. So some of you have installed, half of you have installed either one or many DCCs, approximately a bit more than a half of the people online have never installed a DCC. I hope that you will learn, even for those who installed DCC before, I hope that you will learn lots and lots of information today. And the second question, to see what type of installation you specialize in. So again, very diverse. So lots of you, nearly half, mostly do single family homes, and lots of you also do both or multi-family home. We're going to cover both the single and multi-family home context, or basically the whole lineup of products from RVE, the DCC, the different versions of the DCC. And instead of, you probably know us, if you know us, you probably know, instead of using a classic PowerPoint with, boring slides, we're going to hop on the website directly. Let me just change the window, because you will find all the information, or most of the information you need, on our website. I know that the web address may be small in your screen, but it's rve-usa.com. On the top right corner here, you may either have the full menu or just the small icon. I just want to point out, if you believe you end up on the wrong version of the website, you have the location USA and the language English in the menu in the top right corner, as for all the other resources, products, and everything else. The only thing I want to show you on the main page on the rv-usa.com website is, like any website, at the bottom you have a footer, but I always point out you have the toll-free number here. So if you're on a job, you're on a site, you're outside of the office, you need to call us if you have a technical question, whatever. Just go on rv-usa.com, scroll to the bottom of the screen, and click, or probably more type, use your finger to type of the toll-free number. It's going to call us directly. You also have direct links to the whole DCC, the different DCC from our lineups. If you're looking for a specific spec sheet, you can directly click on DCC 9, DCC 10, get directly on the right page. There's other links, but those are the only two I wanted to focus on. In the menu, like on, again, most websites, you have a contact link. And this contact link is going to bring you to this page where you have the same information, the toll-free number, but you also have different email addresses. So if you have general inquiries, you have the info at, specific more sales inquiries, the sales@rv-usa.com email address. But again, the one I want to show you is the technical support. So Brita mentioned our two licensed electrician working for RV in-house. You can reach them by sending an email. You can always call us with a toll-free number. You can always reach them using the support@rve-usa.com email address. Brita, is there any general information you want to share before we dive into the products? Well, I think we have a hard time with the mics, with unmuting ourselves. But I think so. I'm gonna go on with the products, Brita, and if you have anything in mind, just get back to me, no problem. So again, in the menu, you have the Our Products page, and it's going to bring you to this page here. You have a table with a different version of the DCC, but I want to focus first on those main advantages. So all of our electric vehicle energy management systems, or EV/EMS, are unique technologies in North America. We have a patent both for Canada and the United States for our DCC. The products we sell are compatible with all the electric vehicles. We say most chargers. I usually simplify saying we're compatible with any brands of EV chargers or electric vehicle. We're also compatible with other type of loads, like I said earlier, mostly in single family context, but I'm going to come back to that later. Our solution is also 100 future proof, because because it states right here, because our products are added at the infrastructure level of a building, home, condo, apartment property, but also because the way we do the energy management upstream of the appliance, upstream of the parking stall or the garage at the infrastructure level, it makes us compatible with EV chargers, but other loads, but also with other types of EV chargers in the future. I always give the example, maybe your cell phone has wireless charging. I don't believe we're going to get wide adoption of wireless chargers for electric vehicle, but if in a few years from now those technologies become more efficient and you want to replace an EV charger by a charging mat, it would still be compatible and could still be managed by the DCC installed today or next year, for example. So a very future-proof solution, very compatible, very flexible. You don't need any wireless communication, even in multifamily buildings. No need for internet connection, wireless, cellular access. No need for a fancy, more expensive network or commercial charger. No need for cloud software. Those are all very simple yet extremely efficient ways or products to do energy management for EV charging and other loads, both in single and multi-family context. Everything we sell is UL listed and CSA certified. Our goal is always to use or optimize the existing available electrical capacity at the building level, at the home level for any any of those EV chargers energy management requirement. We also have different versions of our products that are designed more to prepare homes for future EV charger installation. For example, your client owns multiple condo units. They want to make them EV ready or EV capable. There are versions of our systems that can be installed for a lower cost on day one, and then you add some parts in the future when we have a real electric vehicle that needs an EV charger. So I'm going to show you all of those things I'm mentioning throughout the different product pages, but I also wanted to mention this. And lastly, or the two last things, here it says simplify the electricity bill, because all the DCCs will always be installed and connected. So the EV chargers will also be installed and connected downstream of the utility meters. It means that the local utility can do the metering and the billing of the EV charging or the other managed load directly on the existing utility bill. So it makes for a no management, no third party, no human management needed, no need for any additional revenue grade metering or anything like this. And lastly, it also makes for a no recurring fee, no subscription fee, no monthly fee device that does all the energy management, again, locally with no internet connection, no monthly fee. So very different than the network or commercial chargers approach that are good products for other type of usage. But we strongly believe that people charging their electric vehicle at home or installing additional loads in their single family home should have access to a reliable, durable, very efficient energy management system that will not cost them $20 a month every month for the rest of their life. So this is the RVE DNA. And Brita, is there anything specific you want
And
to add?
they've actually activated my mic, so thank you. Yeah, it's an install and forget technology, as you can see from the description and the information conveyed by Leo. This was designed by an electrician for electricians, so keep that in mind as we're going through the presentation, because you'll see how it facilitates the install. At the same time, it's NEC code compliant. It's the Article 750. And what makes it interesting is industrially rated as well. So it covers all the bases and checks all the boxes. And that's why it's so versatile. So we're going to go through with Leo on the versatility of that. We're going to start with the single family. We're going to focus on the DCC 12.
Yeah.
Leo? Away.
And I just thought you were talking about good points, Brita, but we also work with all the local electrical inspectors, AHJs. If you need us to support you, assist you with a specific case, feel free to reach out to our team. Our goal is really to make, again, EV charging or adding new loads to existing homes and apartments and condo as easy as possible for everybody, including the end user, the contractor. So again, we are there if you need assistance. This is
Yeah,
the
that
table I showed you. Yeah, Brita, sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say it's a good point about the inspectors because it's a new product in the US market. It's been around for about 10 years otherwise, but in the US market, some of the inspectors are not familiar with it or have heard of it, but don't know exactly much about it. So education is part of the process. And in that, we have tools to educate them. We have our manufacturer's product attestation, we have our spec sheets. And our in-house licensed electricians as well can take the time to speak to any inspector that you might run into or any questions from a utility perspective or even a city person who is looking for additional information and supportive information. So we're there for everybody in the strata, everybody in those layers that need to have the information and to make sure that the inspections and the installations are done smoothly.
Thanks, Brita. And don't worry, I saw some of you have started posting questions in the chat. We're going to reply to them over the course of the webinar. Don't worry. This table shows 4 different products, DCC 9, 11, 10, 12. They're not in numerical order. It's usually confusing to understand the product numbers, but I'm going to give you a very simple way to understand. Even numbers 10 and 12 are designed for single family home, or when you physically have access to the home distribution panel. Like in a single family home, is going to be close to the garage or the parking stall in most cases. Uneven or odd numbers, DCC 9 and 11, are designed for multi-family dwelling, where we don't have access to the suites panel, or the units, the condo, the apartment distribution panel. Because if I live in a condo on the 4th floor, my panel is going to be on the 4th floor. But my car is not going to be in my living room. It's going to be 4 floors lower, maybe on the underground parkade. So I cannot physically grab a wire, pull a wire from my panel in my condo unit. So the DCC 9 and 11 are designed for those cases where we still want to connect the EV charger downstream of the utility meter, but we don't have access to the suites panel. And I'm going to focus on the DCC 12, like Brita said, for a single family home, because it accounts for over 95% of our installation in single family homes in North America. And I'm going to also focus on the DCC 9 for the multi-family dwellings, because again, it also accounts for over 95% of our installations of DCC in multi-family in North America. So let me start with the DCC 12. So all the product pages have the exact same layout, so it's easy for you to find the information. I'm not going to go over the whole page. What I always do is directly click on technical documentation. It's going to bring me to this nice picture, but also to the spec sheet, the installation manuals, the manufacturer product attestation that Brito was telling you about a few minutes ago. If you need it, it is on every different product pages, so it's easy to find. We even have installation videos for different models of the DCC, all on the different pages. I'm going to focus today on the spec sheets, and eventually I'm going to come back to this picture of the internal components, but this is the spec sheet of the DCC 12. So same thing, all the spec sheets have the exact same layout, so it's easy for you to see. Top right corner, you have the product number, the model, DCC 12. It says generation 3. This is a generation we've been selling for already 2 or 3 years, and that we will be selling for at least 1 year or 2. Keep in mind that every generations have always been retro compatible with the previous generations. So if at some point you need to do a servicing of an older DCC, the components and everything are always retro compatible. But I'll be honest, there are not much servicing or maintenance to be done. We have a very low defective rate of under 0.25%. And this even includes packaging issues. So it's a very reliable, robust system using industrial components. Before going into the product itself, I just want to point out you also have this reference table in every spec sheet where you will see technical information. For example, I want to point out here that the enclosure for the DCC 12 is NEMA 3R rated. It means you can use it for interior or exterior install. Same version, one SKU, one product for both interior and exterior install. You have the weight, the dimensions, the wire gauge size, everything. But I want to point out here. So the EV charger breaker, so from 30 to 60 amp, is going to be the not the EV charger rated load. It would be 24 to 48 amp, but it's going to be your breaker in your panel, so the 2-pole breaker. We can manage 2-pole breakers, branch circuits for 30 to 60 amp. And the main power supply here refers to the home, the single family home distribution panel. So if you have a 60 amp up to a 200 amp panel in a single family home, you can use the DCC 12. For sure, you have the compatibility chart. You cannot power a 60 amp branch circuit out of a 60 amp panel. It would always be turned off or managed in a certain way. But when you have the green check, it means it works. When you have the red cross, it means it won't work. And you have this kind of exception here 60 amp branch circuit and breaker on a 100 amp home panel. It does work. It's kind of the equivalent of the green check, but it says here that there is a workaround configuration with the dip switches. So it's just a different way to configure the DCC so it works with a 60 amp branch circuit on the 100 amp panel. Well, let me jump on this installation schematic. So let's say you are going in a single family home to do an EV charger installation. You get to the home, you do your load calculation, and you have enough capacity to install the EV charger with no energy management. You would simply put a two-pole breaker in your panel, then pull your wire, your two lines from your two-pole breaker to the parking spot, parking stall, and install the EV charger. Voila, you're done. But what if you have a load calculation that is at full capacity, or you're not, you know there will be a problem if you add a new load to the load calculation, whether it's a code related or local authorities related issue. The DCC12, like you see in the picture right now, literally intercept the branch circuit coming from your two-pole breaker in the panel to your parking spot or stall or garage where the EV charger is going to be installed. Within the DCC12, you will have, and I'm going to come back, I just want to point out the second thing here. You have the current transformers, so a second conduit at the bottom here, and the two CTs will be clipped on the two main lines of your panel. So let me just come back here because I think that this picture is really nice. So within the DCC, the two lines of your branch circuit are going to be intercepted on those latching relays, the black box in the middle here. So you have line one in, line one out, line one in, line one out. Very simple in terms of installation. You have the dip switches here in kind of orange or red. You need to have the dip switch configuration for the EV charger, the breaker size, and then for the panel size. And I want to point out that we have split core CTs or clip-on CTs that are really easy to use. You don't need to pull your two main lines out of the panel. You just need to clip the CTs on the two main lines of your panel. I know there was a question about other types of CTs or current sensors. We provide a DCC2N with those clip-on or split core CTs with 25 feet of wires. You can easily put up to 100 feet of wires, and other type of current sensors could be supported, but this would be a case where I would recommend you reaching out to our support team, Simon or Jerome, that will be able to evaluate specifically the use case you have in mind, or look at the pictures or drawings and provide you with recommendation on which type of CTs you would need. If we come back to this installation, I still didn't talk about the energy management part. You probably guessed that the current transformers, the CTs, allows a DCC to do a real-time reading of the total amperage being drawn by all the home appliances, including the EV charger. And you're right, this is exactly why the CTs are for. But how does the energy management works? We have a few settings. So as soon as a DCC realizes that the total amperage being drawn at the panel level goes over 80% of the panel capacity, the latching relays are going to physically open up and disconnect power to the managed load, in this case, the EV charger. As soon as the DCC senses or realizes that we have enough energy or amperage available for 15 continuous minutes, just to prevent some on and off, multiple on and off in a short time. So as long as we have enough energy for 15 continuous minutes, the latching relays are going to close down and re-energize the managed load, in this case, the EV charger. So I said that our way of doing energy management was extremely simple, but very reliable, durable, and rugged. You see how we do the energy management using those latching relays. This is also doing this turning on and off the energy that allows us to be compatible with other type of load than just EV chargers, because we do the energy management at the infrastructure level, at the DCC level, close to the distribution panel. And this is also what allows us to be future-proof with other type of chargers, for example, charging mat for, not for cell phone, but for electric vehicle in the future. That 80% threshold can be lowered using other dip switches down to 70, 60, or 50%. The 15-minute buffer time can also be adjusted, but we do not recommend you putting it lower, shorter than 15 minutes, because we did lots of tests. We have a big lab at the office. We test multiple brands and model of chargers, electric vehicle. This is why we're so confident in our product. So again, the energy managed part is very simple, but this is how we can provide a own and forget device that is extremely quick to install for you. So if we come back to the panel at full capacity, before energy management systems, the only way to get this installation going would be to come back, do a service upgrade with the utility, a panel upgrade. It'd probably be $4, $5, $6, $7,000, depending on the home, the context, and the time you need to put in all the admin stuff. But installing a DCC12 prevents adding the managed load or EV charger load to the load calculation. So it prevents you from doing any kind of service or panel upgrade. And just a DCC12 install, if we come back to the picture, you need to put 4 screws on the wall, put the DCC. You need to get your 2 lines, your wires in on one side, put them on the lugs, on the latching relays, have your lines get out on the other side. An installer that installed a few DCC will probably tell you that it's less than 20 minutes or 30 minutes to install a DCC. So although doing a service upgrade may seem a valuable option or profitable option for you, in the end, we have contractors that are able to do 4 or 5 EV charger install in a long day without doing any load calculation, because they know the DCC will never add to the calculated load, and without doing any service or panel upgrade. So, and because a DCC12 is a single SKU product, both for interior and exterior installation, because it works for all the different branch circuit capacity from 30 to 60 amp, we even have some contractors who keep a DCC12 in the back of their truck, because they know that in the type of work they do, they encounter a potential service upgrade or panel at full capacity once a week or once every 2 weeks. Brita, any other tips or insights from the field?
Yeah, just a few points. Thanks, Leo. The DCC is actually a safety device, and Leo kind of touched upon that, where it protects the main panel upstream and it protects downstream the EV charger or any other alternate load you might have there, like a pool pump or other. So that's one of the main functions of the DCC, being a safety device. But it actually, how does it do it? Is it manages the flow of energy and the power. And so it de-energizes whatever's downstream when it reaches that 80% threshold that is set by the dip switch, which is factory set, by the way. So any contractor in the field can adjust those dip switches accordingly. We also had a question there in the chat about, can we charge, 2 EV chargers? Let's say a single family home, he's got a car, she's got a car, they're both EVs. So now what do? Yes, you can put 2 DCC12s in there, and you can put one at bring down, like I said, that dip switch from an 80% factory set to maybe 70% for the first car, and for the second car, put it at 60 or 50%, just to ensure that, again, safety is the utmost priority in the situation, but both cars do get properly charged accordingly, so both drivers can go drive, wherever they need to go in the morning, if it's at work or whatever. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, it's for contractors, and I put an emphasis for contractors, because there's the emphasis for the homeowner. Now you can charge both your cars, but for the contractor, the DCC is a small unit. It's like, 11 inches by 8 inches by about 5. So it weighs 8 pounds. It's a small little device, and you can't really tell on these photos, but it's the smallest of the DCC family. And the reason being is, you can put it in your truck, bring it, and always have a few in your truck, so that when you run into a panel upgrade situation where you cannot do a panel upgrade for whatever reason, if it's a cost issue to the homeowner, if it's a physical limitation issue because the environment doesn't allow you to do so, because in older homes that's usually what happens, or there's sufficient power but you just want to make it a safety, there's a safety concern, you want to put in a DCC. So for those 3 reasons, you can definitely carry more than one in your truck and make it very easily accessible for your homeowner. And I give an example. It's not just for EV, but as we were saying, it's also for alternate loads. We had one contractor who says, hey, I just finished doing the kitchen upgrade from fossil fuels to electric appliances, and now he's got an induction cooktop, a dual fridge, a compressor, and he's got the wine bar cellar, and he's got the dual ovens as well, and the induction cooktop. So all that is pulling more power, and they're realizing, hey, they've maxed out the home panel. So break this news to the homeowner who has just spent maybe $50,000 or more on this fabulous new kitchen, that he's got to spend, another 5 to 10 grand on the panel. It's like, oh my dear. So a DCC is a cost-effective and fast install solution in certain cases like this. So keep that in mind as you're, listening to Leo, and don't hesitate. We love your questions in the chat. Thank you. We appreciate it. We do give support also if you run into, different scenarios you're not quite sure about. Our in-house electricians can assist you just to validate the whole install. They do also plan reviews. So if you have plans, sometimes we don't have them for single family homes, but when we start talking about multifamily, as we will in the next segment, keep that in mind, that you can supply us with the multifamily electrical plans and building plans, and it'll be our pleasure to assist you on that. So Leo, thanks.
Thanks, Brita. And I think a good point you're mentioning is, so today I'm trying to present everything in an hour, so very general overview, but I know you will have very specific questions, very specific projects in mind. Reach out to our team. We're going to assist you. Sometimes, exactly what Brita said. I just want to come back to this DCC 12. There is no breaker within the enclosure because, as you saw right before, let me come back here, you will have a two-pole breaker at the panel level. But what if, for a specific context, you need a means of disconnect or overcurrent protection at the DCC level? This is why we've been selling the DCC 10. Again, I'm clicking on technical documentation, and I just want to focus on this picture here. So here you can see it's basically the exact same components as in the DCC 12, but you have an additional breaker within the enclosure. So if it's required by a local code, AHJ, whatever, know that we have an option with a means of disconnect and an overcurrent protection within the DCC enclosure. Keep in mind, if you need that means of disconnect close to the DCC, you can always buy any classic disconnect device that you find at local wholesalers and just install it upstream or downstream of the DCC 12. So lots of options, again, depending if you need that means of disconnect or overcurrent protection. The DCC 10 is available for order. We have local distributors in most areas in the United States, and we're a North American company, so we have stock, and it's usually more it's more quick. It's quicker than other we see other competitors with consumer grade plastic products coming from overseas. This is not our case. I think it's really important for us to have confidence in not only the product but also the company behind it. So there was a DCC 10. Other DCC application types, I think those two lines here are the most important. So these are our requirements for using the DCC with other loads than EV chargers. These are the requirements or the characteristic of the components we are using within our devices. We can manage safely any resistive loads up to 48 amp rated current, meaning on a breaker up to 60 amp, or inductive loads up to 40 amp in terms of rated current, up to, for a breaker or branch circuit, up to 50 amp. So we've seen lots of contractor and installers being creative in a good way, using the DCC. Rita said for kitchen remodel, for example. And just also one thing is maybe the new load, the new appliance you want to add to a panel at full capacity cannot be energy managed, but maybe another load already in the load calculation of the same panel could be put on a DCC to remove it from the load calculation and free up space for the new appliance. So multiple ways to do it. At some point, we cannot do magic, but we've seen very, very nice projects with other application types than EV charger. Um,
Yeah, sorry, in the case I mentioned there with the kitchen upgrade, what they did is they put the pool pump downstream of the DCC, not the kitchen appliances. So I just want to make sure
Good
that
example.
everybody.
Yeah, yeah. Could be the hot tub, could be even the EV charger. Maybe your client already has an EV charger. You are okay with the load calculation, but then they do the kitchen remodel and they're adding new appliances, and you're limited in terms of load calculation, panel capacity. The EV charger can be added on the DCC. And keep in mind that the DCC will only shed the managed load when we have a high consumption at the panel level, which means depending if you're in a warm or cold climate, usually when you have electrical AC or heating turned on with the electrical oven turned on. So DCCs will disconnect the EV charger to manage load only a few hours during the peak season, depending on the area where you are. Those are good examples of outdoor load example. The classic is the hot tub. We get this request really often, but it could be electrical patio heater, snow melting system. When we're talking about generator and solar panel, we're not talking about managing the solar panel components or the generator components themselves. But in most cases, the generator panel or the secondary panel linked to your solar system is going to be smaller than your home panel. So you wouldn't be able to power all the appliances on your backup panel at the same time. But using the DCC, you could take some of those appliances off the calculated load, even in the secondary or emergency panel with the generator of the solar system. So thus letting the end user use all different appliances, even in the case of an emergency. And we'll come back to those other cases at the end of the presentation. And if you have, again, any specific cases, you reach out to the support team and they're going to support you or assist you. Indoor load example, HVAC, AC, heat pump, sauna, steam shower, all the kitchen remodel example. I'm not going to have take too much time. We still only have 20 minutes left, and I want to go into the multifamily because I saw questions on multifamily in the chat. But you have those schematics for different kind of installation. If you need a GFCI protection, all of this, we have the answers. We've seen lots of projects over the years, both single family townhomes, single multi-family home, and I believe we have most of the answers to your question.
Leo,
Yes, go ahead.
before we start the multifamily, just to give the audience a little overview about multifamily, RVE is working and collaborating very well with the utilities across the country, and I'm giving you some of the examples. Peninsula Clean Energy out of San Francisco is one of them, and they support the DCC solution that Leo is presenting in the next few minutes. So keep that in mind for the multifamily, whether it's new build, retrofit, rental, or condo ownership. Okay, so we meet all those criteria. It could also be for low income housing, but it could also be for standard housing as well. So all of those variables in terms of the description of the type of building, the DCC solution can be applied. The other utilities we're working with, PG&E, one of the bigger ones, if not the biggest one in the country, we submitted an RFQ, which was just recently accepted and approved. And so we're working and collaborating with their team, and that will be posted on their website very soon. So keep an eye out for that. We are in conversations with other utilities on the East Coast and on the West Coast too. So keep your eyes peeled as you will be seeing the DCC more and more throughout the utility platforms. Okay.
Yeah, good point. And before
Accessible.
diving into the technical aspect of the DCC 9 and 11 for multifamily, we know that usually those projects may be a bit more complex, involving HOAs, property managers, could even be a new property with a real estate developer or builders. We can again assist you. We did this with all across North America with hundreds of projects before. It's part of the help or the support we can provide when you work on those bigger projects. They take more time. If we can, save you a few minutes or a few hours, I know everybody's going to be happy. DCC9, what I point out on the left in the pictures, you have sometimes jokes saying one is wearing a hat, the other is not. One has a lid on the top. It's a NEMA 3R enclosure. The other one is a NEMA 1 enclosure. The reason why we have different enclosures for multifamily products is that in most cases, multifamily installation is going to be interior. So the price difference, even if it's only $100, if you're adding 10, 20, 30 units, it makes up for a bigger price difference. So we wanted to offer a more affordable option for all those interior installations. And talking about affordability, Brita mentioned low-income housing, and sometimes those people are really like the fact that there are no recurring fees. Whenever you tell to a rental property manager that there will be no monthly fees and they can keep more money in their own pockets, everybody's happy not to pay monthly fees, and nobody wants to pay extra fees for nothing. So whenever it's a non-technical argument, but when you share this with your clients, in the end, they will usually really appreciate keeping more money in their pockets.
Yeah, the
Okay.
power consumption of each deeded parking spot goes to their standard utility bill. So it's not a separate bill, just so you understand. It's
Yeah,
streamlined into their utility bill that they get every month.
exactly. So I'm gonna go directly on the spec sheet and come back on the picture. I just want to point out I'm gonna go more quickly on the DCC9 because it shares lots of characteristic with the DCC12 and 10 I showed you. What I want to point out in this picture right now is you have here 150, 200 amp. So first of all, main power supply is not going to be the main service capacity of the townhome or a condo or apartment complex. It's going to be the main power supply for each and every unit, for each and every individual utility meter, main breaker, feeder, and panel in every suite or dwelling. If you have an apartment or condo with a 150 or 200 amp capacity, main breaker, feeder, and panel, you need to use a DCC11. So DCC11 compared to a DCC9 is just a bigger product number, bigger enclosure, bigger components, with a slightly bigger price for bigger units with bigger panels, feeders, and main breakers. It's the exact same product. I'm going to focus on the DCC9 because it accounts for the vast majority of apartments and condos in North America, 125 down to 60 amp. But keep in mind, a DCC11 also exists. So if I come here to show you an example, schematics of installation. So like we said earlier, the panel of the unit is going to be on the higher floors. We don't know where, and we cannot pull a wire through the living rooms of all the downstairs neighbors. So you cannot power your EV charger from the suite's panel or the unit's panel. Usually you would power all the EV charger from a new meter, a new infrastructure. You would need to have recurring fees, wireless internet access, smart connected network chargers. You would pay more for them. We have a very different solution. So you have all the DNA that we shared earlier for single family home that can be applied to multi-family homes. What you see here is for any individual unit after the utility meter and their main breaker, the DCC9 allows for the feeder interception. So we intercept the feeder or the riser of any unit. First, what we do is we create a new branch circuit, like you can see here, that is going to power the EV charger. So we need the feeders and the meters to be at the parkade level or close by the parking spot. If you have a high-rise property downtown, the core urban areas, it won't work. But the vast majority of multifamily in North America are going to be low rise with all the meter stacks in the electrical room or close by the parkade area. So first, we create a new branch circuit. Second, the DCC does a real-time reading of the total energy or amperage being drawn at the panel level and at the managed load or the EV charger level. If the total panel plus chargers goes over 80% of the main breaker, feeder, and panel capacity, the latching relays open up. Basically, it works the exact same way as the single family version, but in a multi-family setting. And again, like Brita insisted on, the DCC is physically connected and the EV charger is physically connected downstream of the utility meter. This is what allows, for example, Peninsula Clean Energy to recommend this solution because it means that all the energy is metered, billed, and managed by the utility on the existing utility bill using the existing programs If a tenant or a condo owner wants to apply to a flexible rate, they manage their own charger and they never share the power with their neighbors. It's really a single family charging experience, but in a multi-family dwelling. And this is really unique. This is what's been patented by RVE across North America. And you're probably curious to know, I know it's a bit all compact picture, but you have the L1 to intercept your feeder. So line one of your feeder, interception, input, output with a bus bar. You have the line two of your feeder, interception, input, output with the bus bar. And when you can maybe see, I don't know if it's too small a computer, but the black rectangle in between the input and output lugs are the same split core CTs you saw earlier, but seen from above. We split power on the output lug. So having the CTs before splitting power from the feeder to the new branch circuit allows the DCC to do that real-time reading of the total amperage being drawn both at the panel level and the charger level itself. Same dip switches, same kind of configuration. We have the same latching relays intercepting the new branch circuit, but we do have at the bottom right corner here the EV charger breaker, because if we come back to the schematic, we don't have any sub panel upstream or any overcurrent or disconnect protection or disconnect means for the new branch circuit. So it's all in the DCC9. No need for any extra components. It's all in the same enclosure, compact, easy to install. A bit more complex than a single family home, but everything is more complex electrical related in a multi-family. And very quickly, DCC11, I told you it's just a bigger DCC9. You can kind of easily see it on this. Everything seems smaller in the box. Everything is the same size, but the box is bigger. This is the only difference. I also want to point out on the right here, it says dry contact for control via external energy management system. What it means is that every DCC we sell have this very small connection point, which allows in a specific context or project where you feel we would need to monitor the main service of a building and do energy management of the EV chargers according to a real-time reading of the main service of the building, we can use some third-party systems that does real-time monitoring and use those systems to send an electrical signal to the DCCs using those dry contacts. I'm not going to go further into this. It's for very specific projects. But if you feel at some point that doing only energy management between the charger and the units is not enough, and you need to do energy management at the main service level of a property because you have a high number of EVs and EV charger, we have a solution. Reach out to us, call us, send us an email. We can do multi-level energy management from the main service to the panel level in those multi-family settings. DCC11, same thing. DCC box, again, I'm going to go quickly. Timer is running out, but I want to show you on the spec sheet specifically this here. So I know most of the case you are getting calls from people who own EVs and wants an EV charger. But there are probably lots of people in the same multi-family buildings that don't own EVs, but are thinking about buying an EVs in the next 2, 3, 5 years. In this case, we have both the full version you see on the right, the DCC9 that does all the energy management I showed you, but we also sell the empty box or the DCC9 box. It's not really empty. If you look at the picture here, you have all the components to intercept the feeder of any unit. But when you're doing a shutdown on a meter stack, it impacts the other 5 co-owners or the other 5 tenants. So why not add DCC boxes and already intercept their feeders at the same time? Everybody's going to save on time and money because you won't need to come back, do a full shutdown whenever you install a second DCC, for example. And just so you know, the DCC box is about a third of the price in terms of hardware of the full DCC9. And the PCB, which is the guts, can easily be installed in any DCC box within approximately 30 minutes, can be moved from one box to another in a rental property. Lots of flexibility, lots of option when it comes to the different versions of the DCC9. And we even have a stacked version like you can see here. So I like those 3D representation. No, they're not freestanding. You need some form of wall, cantrust, plywood in between both. It's just a representation. But we show this because in new construction, the DCCs can literally be installed back to back with the meter stacks to have the smallest feeders going from the shortest feeders going from the meter stack to the DCC, then to the unit. So lots of ways to work with in multifamily. I'm going very quickly, but my goal is that whenever you have a multifamily project in mind, you give us a call, you send us an email, we're going to assist you. We can work on the different plans, show you different possibilities, the pros, the cons, and we'll always try to be as transparent as possible. We know the costs associated, and again, the pros and the cons of different situations. We're good at recommending the right option for the right context. Brita, before I go quickly over the case studies and the blog articles, just to show everything, do you have any other
Well, I
insight?
think Yeah, I think the takeaways from this portion of your presentation, Leo, is, just a quick reminder for the guys and gals out there. If you're looking at a condo or apartment with a standard two-bedroom footprint, and most likely the panel at those condos or apartments will be between 60 amp to 125 amp inclusively, that'll be DCC9. If you're looking at a penthouse where the footprint's a little larger, maybe more appliances, there's more power being pulled, there might be even a hot tub up there. So that usually moves the needle towards a DCC 11, whereby it's 150 amp or 200 amp panel. So keep that in mind. DCC 9, standard condo, DCC 11, either luxury condo units or most likely the penthouses. The boxes for the installers, once again, super fast to install. They don't take much time. They allow to have a building 100% EV ready, as Leo mentioned. Once those lugs are terminated in those DCC boxes, by definition, the building is in the parking spot is EV ready. Once the PCB is in, then it's EV active. Okay, you can immediately plug in your car on the DCC. Okay.
Very
Um,
good point. I'm
okay.
gonna just go quickly over the tabs I already had open just to show you. And we're gonna open Chris's mic in case there is one or two questions he wants to share with you. Let me just go very quickly. So we have a case study section where you can easily click on the type of construction, occupancy, products used to see specifically what you're looking for. I have this example of a single family, this example of a 6-unit outdoor installation with the NEMA 3R version. It was a new construction. You have all the pictures. Sometimes we even have 360 videos, things. A bigger multifamily. Again, I like this picture of this super clean wall of DCCs outside of the electrical room because it's listed as an industrial controller or control equipment, so it can be wall, ceiling mounted, interior, exterior of the electrical room. We're already looking at the new UL power control system listing. We're always one step ahead of the competitors of our market, so don't worry. This example of a low rise on the West Coast, again, DCCs, they were suspended from the ceiling, not only ceiling mounted, but suspended to have the right dimension and make sure it would fit. And then we have a blog with many different articles, but just to show you an article on security, safety, and reliability between wired communication and wireless. We all know wired is or hardwire is better. This is why this is what we use at RVE. If you know about the old school load misers, how does a DCC compares with a load miser or those new smart plugs, which are basically load misers copies, usually consumer grade products. The DCC box explained more in details. Other loads, we presented, but again, more details. The origin of the DCC. So it was designed by electricians for electricians. This is why our product looks maybe more boring than those flashy plastic consumer products we see on Amazon. but our products is rugged, durable, reliable, effective in its design, so you can install it easily, going through the existing distributors, wholesalers you like to work on, you like to work with. Um, Different models, the pros, the cons, the different versions, and you have this very useful page called useful documentation where you have all the spec sheets, all the manuals, all the videos, all at once. So I'm going to stop there. We have only a few minutes left, but Chris, if you have anything you want to add, the mic is yours.
Wanted to thank everybody for all the questions. My thumbs and fingers are moving as quickly as possible. So I appreciate the patience. Dan, we'll get you an answer on your question in regards to the conduit. And I think I've been able to get back to everybody else. And, just wanted to thank everybody again for joining us today. And obviously, if you have more questions, after the webinar, you can reach out to myself, Jodine, our support team, Leo and Breda. So really, really appreciate everybody joining us again. Thanks.
You can send all your questions to sales@rve-usa.com or call us at 1-833-717-1355. Looking forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, thanks everyone for interacting with us. Have a great day, and looking to hear back from you.